Well, good evening again. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed I know I enjoyed the dinner. Thank you, Tim and company. I haven't seen Tim here. Excellent dinner, fabulous Green Mill alum. They always do such a nice job for our faculty and staff events too, so we really appreciate that. So tonight, here again to honor our distinguished alumni. And as we begin the evening, I would be curious to see, I know we have, I'll just say it, we have the first ever Distinguished Alumni Award winner here. Any guesses as who it is? You guys know. Any guesses? No? Hearing none, hearing none. Mr. Lawrence, first winner ever. And would everyone, all of our past distinguished alumni, could you just stand? I'm just curious, how many of you are here? Past alumni winners? Stand up, don't be shy. There we go, Bogrins, yep. Craig, I see Craig in the back there. Excellent, thank you so much. So glad to have you back here. Also, I would like to just thank for one moment to thank the selection committee, Kay Callahan Baker and Mary Morelli down here in front. They had an excellent team. Thank you for your hard work. And also our alumni board. Are there members? I saw a few of you. Members of our alumni board. Could you stand and be recognized? Peg, I see you back there. There's Molly over here. Mary. I saw Jim here earlier. He must have had to go off to another important meeting. So again, thank you to our alumni board for all of the outstanding work that you do to support the Pioneer community. So thank you so much. And then also thank you, Chris, to your team, Judy, Chris, Michelle, Katie, Elise, who worked so hard to make this such a special event. So thank you to you guys, Chris and company. And on to the good stuff, our 6 honorees. It's a special cohort of inductees, and these 6 folks are memorialized on the main entrance outside the auditorium. So you will see their pioneer qualities in abundance. It's a great memorial upstairs, and we'll add these 6 folks to that place in the hallway. Each has and continues to take their pioneer way to innovate, inspire, and impact their respective communities, really in their own special ways. I mean, you probably looked at those bios, right? Like, what did I do during my life? I mean, really, it's amazing. It really is so great to be here to honor these 6 folks. So let's get on with it. Our first recipient, our awardee, our honoree, is the recipient of the Father Greg Tollis Class of 74 Award for Distinguished Service. I'll just say her name, and then Katie, you'll come up when I finish reading all these great things about you. Where is she? There she is. You know that Father Greg was a 74 grad. He's a beloved son of Hill Murray. He really is. Some of you may even have had him officiate at your wedding. Anybody have him officiate at your wedding? There you go. Judy, is it just you? So Judy, he was amazing. He worked at St. Thomas, and I got to tell you, there was so many times that he presided at Mass in the field house, and his homilies just touched our students' hearts, such a positive witness to the faith. He was well known for his servant heart in North Minneapolis, in the St. Philip's, or the Phillips neighborhood, I should say. Parishioners loved him as much as we did here at Hill Murray. He overcame health issues to advocate for good in his community and helped in people's sense of belonging and really helping them know God's love. That was him. That was Greg Tollis. So I'm so proud to honor and to recognize Katie Welly-Clark. Katie has used her gifts to transform nursing education in the Twin Cities. She and her team improve the way nurses respond and provide medical care to those on the fringes of society. Her medical skills, compassion, oh, she has that, cultural competencies, and leadership shape the way patients receive care and enhance the frontline training for countless nursing students. Katie and her husband Dave enjoy traveling and spending time with their 3 children, soon to be pioneers. Please join me in welcoming the honoree Katie Welly-Clark to the stage.
Miss Skinner was my 9th grade religion teacher, so woo! How fun is that? I know. She did a good job. So, all right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this thoughtful award. It was so unexpected and deeply humbling to be recognized in this way by a community that really helped shape me and helped me really discover what my vocation was. I want to especially thank the Alumni Board for being selected for this and the time and effort you put into this for making this process so special. I also forgot my glasses, so bear with me. And for my parents for always supporting me, for their often silent sacrifices, and for their wisdom in choosing to send me to Hill Murray despite my initial resistance. And to my husband and kids, thank you for always allowing me to follow my heart, even when it wasn't easy, for your unwavering love, and for filling my cup every day. You are my world. As I think back at my time at Hill, I keep coming to this theme of community. Hill to me was a community that allowed me to grow and understand who I wanted to be. In this community, I was given the most wonderful gift of lifelong friends. Some of them are here today. I developed my love of learning and exploring issues of social justice. And in this community, I learned how people could come together in times of struggle as we lost a dear friend and beloved fellow student, Scott Carlson. As I read more about who this award is in memory of, Dr. Greg Cholis, I found endless parallels to this theme of community, two of which I'm going to share with you now. First is the idea of paying attention and getting uncomfortable. Father Greg spoke frequently about this in his sermons. As I reflect on my high school years, this is something I began to learn here at Hill. Paying attention to the world around me and the struggles that people endured. I will never forget when I asked my parents to send me to Mexico for spring break on my junior year of high school. And they said, sure. I was so pumped. But they were really sending me to Mexico with my religion teacher, Dr. Bill Hudson. It was on that trip I decided I wanted to be a nurse. And not just one that provided bedside care, but one globally, taking care of others. During my 8 years as a bedside nurse, I used all my vacation hours to travel to various countries to volunteer. This brought me to places such as Haiti after the earthquake, in Tanzania, taking care of at an orphanage with kids infected with HIV. While at first I paid attention to the lack of health care and the suffering that people endured, I couldn't shake the questions I wrestled with around the historical context and political realities that were consuming these children's lives and impacting those communities. As I decided to go back to school because of the love of learning that I also was able to foster here at Hill Murray, I decided to go to Augsburg University. As I traveled to Namibia during my first course, I learned a new lesson about paying attention. My mentors challenged me to think about the world beyond myself and my worldview and ask questions about what the community we were caring for wanted for themselves for health and healing. Not to just consider our Western ideals or see them as people to be fixed or pitied, but to see them for their strengths, their abilities, their agency, and name the wisdom they have for the lessons that we could learn from them. This takes me to my second lesson from Father Greg, which is also connected to my Hill education. He often was quoted, "Love to love." Ironically, he also worked in North Minneapolis like me. In his congregation, it wasn't just about Sunday services. He brought people together, neighbors, city officials, and families around shared hopes and real solutions around racial injustices, suffering, and grinding poverty. The idea of love to love reminds me of the teachings of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and his idea of agape, or community love, where people are seen for their grace, where we love even our enemies, and we avoid polarizing or othering people because of their opinions or life choices. This is a foundational practice of nonviolence. This love of nonviolence, the civil rights movement, and community engagement came to me in learning moments here at Hill as I was inspired by the Christian values and its commitments to our neighbors. Agape asks us to practice humility in all that we do, and we cannot do anything in a vacuum. We need each other. The work I do every day at the Health Commons comes from a community where we have a shared public love for the world around us, one where we accompany our guests and think about building new communities that are based in mutuality and relationships. These lessons of paying attention, love to love, that I learned during my time at Hill and from Father Greg will continue to inspire and shape me. I hope I continue to live out my vocation in ways that will continue to live out the ideals of this award. Hill Murray gave me just not an academic preparation, but a sense of responsibility of something larger than myself. This award belongs to all of you. Thank you for being part of my community, and thank you again for this recognition.
Thank you, Katie. Our next honoree is Keith LeBlanc, Hill High School graduate of 64, being honored tonight. He's the recipient of the Ron Ryan Jr., who is a class of 85 award for community leadership. Ron Ryan Jr. was a decorated St. Paul police officer who gave his life in service to his community. A sad day for the family, for the St. Paul community, but also for Hill Murray. We remember that, and we are so pleased to honor him every year with this award. And Keith, tonight we're honoring him posthumously. Keith was a consummate ambassador for the communities he loved, St. Paul Winter Carnival's 75th King Boreas, Eagle Scout and mentor. He was a hockey coach, a veterans advocate. His civic pride was paramount. But most importantly, Keith connected with his warmth and his humor to engage many in building strong bonds and really creating wonderful memories. So please welcome to the stage Sandy Blocky LeBlanc, Archbishop Murray Memorial High School graduate of 64, his wife, to accept on behalf of her husband.
Well, for me, the most fun part of being here tonight, besides honoring Keith, is this is the place where we all had lunch when I was at Archbishop Murray. And in this very room, we girls always talked about who we were going to invite to the senior prom. And for me, everybody wanted to know, are you going to invite Keith LeBlanc to the prom? And so 60-some years later, here I am in the same cafeteria, still talking about Keith LeBlanc. And Keith would love that idea. He would love knowing we're still talking about him around food and dancing. That was one of his favorite things also. Keith was a very private guy about his home life, and there was many things that he liked to do that he kept to himself. But Keith was a warrior, he was a father, he was a grandfather, he was a veterans advocate, he was a coach, he was a boat racer, he was a ski jumper, he was a car racer. He did all those things. Anything that gave him an adrenaline rush, he liked to do. But he also loved Hill. And we had a friend whose daughter was thinking about coming to Hill Murray, and he just kept his fingers crossed that Tomina was going to make her choice whether she would come here or not. And he was so thrilled that she was going to come and make Hill Murray her school of choice, because he wanted to have her have the same kind of experience that he and I both had going to me, Archbishop Murray, and him at Hill. And for him, that was one of the greatest things that happened when little Tomina over there picked us as her school. And he always wanted to make sure that she was a happy girl here at Hill Murray and could experience all the wonderful things we did. And still, both Keith and I still have friends that we met. I met my friend Jennifer the very first day at school here back in 1960. And we have had lifelong friends, and nothing else compares. And he loved going to Hill. It wasn't his choice. His father wanted him to go here, and Keith wanted to go to White Bear. But Keith thought Keith's dad thought if he went to Hill Murray, maybe they could make something out of him. And I think it worked. So for Keith, I say thank you all very much. He would be very, very humbled that anybody thought he should get any kind of award for anything that he did. He was a very humble guy, and this would have been a very big deal for him. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for him. And I actually did ask him to the prom, by the way. He did go with me. So thank you all. I appreciate everybody being here for both he and I. And we appreciate it very much. So thank you all.
Thank you, Sandy. Our next honoree is the recipient of the LaSallian Award. The LaSallian Award inspired by the Christian Brothers who founded Hill High School in 1959. It also reflects their worldwide commitment to faith and education, and that really became the hallmark of Hill High School. Brother Francis, we called him, right? Nowadays, Brother Francis is known as Brother Frank in the LaSallian world. Brother Francis and Brother Arnold, they were just here at the auction, and it's just so great to see our Christian brothers here and celebrating our LaSallian tradition, our LaSallian charism. So the charism of faith paired with action inspired generations of pioneers and continues to resonate for students today. So our LaSallian Award winner, Bill Holland, Hill Murray class of 77, he spent his entire career ensuring affordable access to reading materials. His business acumen and love of books has impacted communities for the better. Likewise, he remains strongly tied to community improvements, from healthy waterways to swim safety and canine companionship. Bill has volunteered tirelessly, and I can tell you, Melissa, you can attest to this. Reading is such an important skill for students when they learn. So, Bill, we appreciate all your work that you have done. Love of books, we're with you. Please join me in welcoming our honoree to the stage, Bill Holland, recipient of the LaSallian Award.
Thank you, everybody. I was always told kindness is its own reward, but a banquet with friends is very, very much appreciated. And for me to receive the LaSallian Award is very, very unexpected as well. My first thought was to paraphrase Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. Being of the class of 1977, I can say there were Waynes and Garths among our classmates. I say that in an affectionate way. Speaking for myself, I am more Garth than Wayne. So unsure of my worthiness, I sought to learn more about the LaSallian Award and its intent. A word that kept recurring and was unfamiliar to me was the word charisms. It is the charisms of the Christian Brothers, a founding religious order of Hill Murray, that a recipient of the LaSallian Award is to embody, along with a commitment to Catholic education. I learned that charisms are special, freely given gifts from God through the Holy Spirit, enabling individuals to serve others and build up the church. And they are not limited to extraordinary abilities, but can be ordinary talents used for good. Ordinary talents used for good. I can be comfortable with that. I'd like to think I've done some good in my life, and I do think my talents are ordinary. I volunteered time to help individuals in need, to help with the environment in certain ways, and to help promote reading and literacy. But I've enjoyed all of it. It has been time well spent. I don't consider it a sacrifice, considering the personal satisfaction that I've received. And my 38 years and counting in the book business must be a good part of tonight's recognition. I've learned there is a strong connection between books and the LaSallian tradition. The tradition fosters a love for lifelong learning and intellectual development. Libraries, reading, and scholarship are highly valued in the LaSallian schools and universities. Books symbolize the ongoing pursuit of knowledge and wisdom to others. I do work for Half Price Books, a company of 116 stores in 19 states that has become the nation's largest buyer and seller of used books. We are fortunate to take in far more books than there is room on our shelves. Believe me, there are a lot of books in attics, basements, garages, personal libraries, garden sheds, and very many of these find their way to our stores. And it's with this surplus of inventory that we donate to schools and organizations. Through our Half Pint Library program, we've created libraries in many children's hospitals and clinics in many states. I'm blessed to be a part of this generosity, but thanks goes to my company that has made the cause of literacy part of its mission. We think the amount of our donations has passed 2 million books, and the effort does continue. And I do have a commitment to Catholic education. It took 9 years, but I put myself through college, beginning at St. Mary's and ending at St. Thomas. And my wife Amy and I have put our son through Catholic grade school and next year on to Catholic high school. But it did begin with my parents' determination to give me and my 5 siblings a Catholic education, first at Transfiguration Grade School and then on to Hillmurray. My mom would be especially thrilled to see one of us given this award. Her Catholic faith was an important part of her life, and she made it an important part of us kids' life. She made sure that we were given a thorough Catholic upbringing, even at great sacrifice. But it was a shared sacrifice, as she would tell us when we were given a Catholic education, that we were given a Catholic education, but braces were not in the budget. Thinking back, I suppose it is because of this that saying our prayers and brushing our teeth was made to seem equally important at a young age. I do want to thank my brothers and sisters, Dan, Mark, Anne Marie, and Colleen, all Hillmurray grads, and their spouses for being here tonight. The family that flosses together stays together, and tonight is no exception. A special appreciation to my sister Anne Marie, who I believe to be the one who nominated me for this wonderful award. I'm told she said to Colleen she thinks I'm mad at her because of this. Anne, do I look like I'm mad? I can tell you I am not mad. It would be a mixture of emotions, mostly love and appreciation. Maybe just a little bit mad early on. Also supporting me tonight and always is my wife Amy and my son Patrick. Today is the first day of his summer vacation, and he left the swimming pool early to be here because, as he put it, he had to. Thank you to my friend and classmate, the Honorable Judge Tracy Warner, and her husband Peter. Tracy is truly a distinguished alumni of the class of '77, and I would say she is more Wayne than Garth. I think I better close. And I think it is fitting to close with an acknowledgement of the Christian brothers and the sisters of St. Benedict who have taught at Hillmurray. There were a good many on staff in the 1970s, and I was fortunate for that. Many have stayed in my memory, and they include Brother Francis, Brother Arnold, Brother Ambrose, and Brother Martin. Besides the education, I remember the humor. And I must make mention of Sister Scholastica, our school librarian at the time, and Sister Pat Collins, my freshman English teacher, who might take pleasure and probably would be surprised in my being given this Lasallian Award. But it is the charisms of these brothers and sisters I hope to embody. While I consider my talents ordinary, their abilities were extraordinary. Because of the values that are instilled in all of us pioneers at Hillmurray, I do not consider myself unique, but tonight I am honored, and I thank all of you very much. Thank you.
Bill, congratulations. And thank you for just recognizing that, that word charism. We actually teach that word to our students because we do Lasallian heritage, Lasallian charism, Lasallian values, and Benedictine charism, Benedictine way of life, Benedictine values inside the curriculum. And so we just really keep that part of our school that fills up all of what we do as just so much in the front. Catholic. Holy Catholic, rooted in Jesus Christ, but these Lasallian and Benedictine values just bring it to life. So I love the Lasallian Award. I'm so pleased to be able to award to the recipient of our Benedictine Award. And I got to tell you, I'll just say it. It's about time. Linda Radford Lawrence, Archbishop Murray, class of '65. And I say that just because, I mean, you just, so many years and so much love and everything you've given to us. So the Benedictine Award is named in honor of the Sisters of St. Paul's Monastery, who founded Archbishop Murray Memorial High School in 1958. The order dedicated its educational mission to serving young women, and at the time, it was specifically young women on the East Side, and molding them into servant leaders who espouse hospitality, contemplation, and using their gifts in the world. So Linda, it's a wonderful coincidence that we honor you. You are an Archbishop Murray Memorial alumna who is celebrating, can I say it, how many years? 60th reunion this year. 60th reunion. She graduated 60 years ago. Unbelievable. And Linda has taken her own blessings and shared them with her community. She has been a hallmark, or Hill Murray has been a hallmark of her volunteerism, but many East Side communities have benefited from her efforts and her generosity of spirit. Linda, along with her beloved Bob, carry on their parents' commitment. That's what's so wonderful, is this is not just you guys, it is your parents, and you've passed it on down into your family, into your children and your grandchildren. And really, the Pioneer family has benefited so much from your family and Linda tonight. We've got 2 more generations, I think, that are following in your footsteps. Is that right? And again, so pleased and so honored to be able to recognize you, Linda, as our recipient of the Benedictine Award. So I invite you to the podium.
Yes, I need my glasses. There we go. Thank you, Sue, for the warm introduction. I'd also like to thank my family, seated right over here, for supporting me this evening. I see many friends, including such a nice group of classmates over here. We were a great class, and we also are celebrating our 60th reunion, as was just stated. My connection with the Benedictine sisters goes back to 2nd grade, when St. Jude's Grade School opened in Matamidi, and they were our teachers. During those years, talk and capital campaigns to build a Catholic girls' school on the east side of St. Paul were in full swing. The fairly new group of Benedictine nuns in St. Paul were given the task of making it happen. My parents were very happy and supportive to see that effort come to fruition. No questions asked, that's where I was going. Parents made those decisions in those days. The 4 years provided me with a good education and preparation for the future, along with wonderful friendships that are lasting today. During those early years, I stayed connected with the school via reunions and planning committees. As time went on, my husband Bob, a Hill grad, and I knew that our 2 children would attend Hill Murray, and they have chosen to send all 3 of their children here. 2 have graduated. The oldest, Bobby, just graduating from Marquette University with honors, and this is grandma speaking, but I get to say it. And I might add that he does have a job in his field, and that's why he isn't here tonight. Bree finished her 2nd year at UW La Crosse and is leaving shortly for Croatia for a study abroad program. And Danny is winding up his freshman year here at Hill Murray. And by the way, he is a newly permitted driver. I tell you this background to establish my connection to the Benedictines and Hill Murray. I co-chaired the first silent auction some 30 plus years ago, raising $30,000. That was almost 100% profit, as it was totally run and manned by volunteers, Hill Murray parents. We thought we were really onto something, but certainly didn't have the vision of today's premier auction. I remained on the auction committee for many years and still get goosebumps at the end of the evening when the drum roll begins, the confetti falls, and the evening's final amount is revealed. It's pretty amazing. Mr. Aschenbrenner, and I see that his daughter is here, hi Peg, also thought it was time to start a separate alumni department rather than have it be another hat that an already overloaded employee would wear. He came to me and asked if I could give 2 to 3 partial days a week to do research with other private schools to see how they were reaching their alums. Sure. Hard to say no to Mr. A. The information I was able to gather was very helpful, given the length of operation other schools had. I've served on the Mothers Club planning groups, Pioneer Booster Club board, and currently I'm a class rep. For me, volunteering has always provided a great sense of satisfaction and allowed me to meet many interesting people along the way. 2 endeavors that are highlights include being a founding member of the East Metro Women's Council and a guardian ad litem for children. In 1987, the East Metro Women's Council was founded by a group of women that recognized that affordable housing and supportive services for low-income women and their children was lacking in suburban Ramsey and Washington counties. The location was chosen next to Century College so parents could have easy access to education, a key component to escaping poverty. In 1993, doors opened to 20 families experiencing homelessness. Each family had a plan created to work towards self-sufficiency. Though the initial plan was for only women and their children, the need became evident to include all family structures, including single fathers and two-parent families. I remained active on the board and as a volunteer with the program for 7 years. In 2013, the organization's name changed to Solid Ground and currently houses over 1,600 individuals annually. In 1996, I became a volunteer guardian ad litem for children in Washington County. The role of a guardian ad litem is to be an impartial party in a custody battle or an allegation of abuse claim of a minor. Upon conclusion of typically a 2 to 3 month time of interviews, observations, and time spent with all parties, a detailed report is written to the judge hearing the case, and it is weighed heavily in his decision. Excellent initial and frequent ongoing training was provided. My nursing background was also helpful in this process. All cases did not get resolved, the way I would have hoped, but knowing that most of these children were in a better place was the goal. My connection with the sisters at St. Paul's Monastery over the years goes from being my educators, volunteering in their gift shop, a committee member for several years for Christmas at the monastery, to today when I call several of them my friend. I'm honored to accept this award, and I hope that I have and will continue to live up to the rule of St. Benedict that summons us all to recognize our responsibility in this world. Thank you very much.
So if you're an Archbishop Murray Memorial High School graduate, Sister Marie Fouillon, right? I was over there, was it last Friday, and said hello to her. And she was supposed to come over for the alumni breakfast maybe a month ago, and couldn't make it. And she asked me about it. I was just shocked. She's in poor health, so keep her in your prayers. But the Sisters of St. Benedict still hold our school so dear, and they're part of us. We're part of them. Our students are over at the monastery. It's just such a great relationship. The Sisters of St. Benedict and the Christian Brothers bringing to life our Catholic faith. So I appreciate our award winners, the Benedictine Award winner and our LaSallian Award winner. So our next award is the Young Alumni Award, Julia Schlichting Coleman, class of 2010. This is the third time that this award has been given. And as an institution with over 60 years of graduates, here's the thing. We felt strongly about honoring the incredible work of our alumni in the first 20 years since receiving their diploma. We can see their pioneer traits in these early stages of their careers, and we appreciate how they inspire other alumni and our current students. So Julia, we are delighted by your early example of political leadership, honed both here and at the University of Minnesota. We applaud your commitment to the democratic process and for fighting for shared outcomes for our communities near to your home and across the state. And I got to tell you, recently, and actually it's still kind of sort of in the works, the state education budget, there was a movement to cut funding to non-public school students. And that affects us, right? And we did a lot of hard work, and Julia, you've been instrumental in that fight. It looks like it's going to be a good outcome. I think it's still, people that are smarter than me know when it's going to get finalized. But that work to support really all of the students in the state of Minnesota, but specifically students in non-public schools, we really appreciate that. We were heartened by your personal testimony about your family's sacrifices to have you attend Hail Mary. And then again, Julia, your advocacy to preserve that funding does not go unrecognized. We are pleased that the measure is looking good, and places like Hill Murray and other peer schools remain strong options for families to choose Catholic education. So I am so pleased to recognize, to welcome, to honor our Young Alumni Award winner, Julia Schlesing-Coleman.
Well, good evening, everyone. My mother is an executive presence coach and teaches people in public speaking, and would be mortified to know I wrote my notes on the back of a coaster. My father is a law enforcement officer and would be mortified to know I wrote them while driving here. So this is such an honor. Some of my best memories happened here at Hill Murray. And I speak publicly all the time. I give very impassioned speeches in the Senate. In fact, our caucus likes to joke, when we want to burn the Senate down, we send Coleman in. But it's amazing, I'm going to get emotional up here today, that I can separate emotion when talking about political things, but when I talk about people I love, I tear up. I can't help it. And I loved my time at Hill Murray. Even today, when people ask where I went to high school, I beam with pride when I tell them that I was a pioneer. And Hill Murray taught me what it meant to be a pioneer. They taught me that you have to have a pioneer spirit, which I took with me when I went on to shatter a glass ceiling and become the youngest woman ever elected to the state Senate. Thank you. They also taught me that pioneer grit. Hill Murray had high expectations of me. And they expected me to not only have a dream, but to work towards it. I used that grit when I didn't want to go knock one more door, when I didn't want to raise another dollar or make another phone call. I remembered that pioneer grit. They taught me about having a heart of service. That was part of our graduation requirement when I went. And I take that heart of service into the Senate every single day. And they most importantly taught me about faith, which I sure needed when I was pregnant with my twins and doctors told me I had to terminate one to save the other. And I said, no, I trust in his plan, and they're both sitting here today very patiently. I feel like this award isn't for me, but for everybody who helped get me to this point. And I have Bernie and Dale Meyer here today, who you were my second set of parents in high school. And I wanted you here today because you were my home away from home. And I could still drive there without a map today if I wanted to. And I had opportunities that my parents didn't have. And there were some things they didn't know. And you were filling in the gaps for me. Are you studying for the ACT? What schools are you looking at? You took me on my college tours. And I wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for you and your son's influence in my life. So I thank you both so much. Thank you. I want to thank Jake, who every time I say, I can't do this yet, I'm not smart enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not brave enough, I'm not ready, tells me you are all those things and you're going to do it. And very lovingly pushes me into things like running for city council or the state senate when I don't believe in myself, so thank you. I also want to thank my son, Adam, my oldest, who taught me to be strong, and my twins, Charles and James, who taught me just how strong I am. I want to thank my mother, who had this crazy idea of sending her kids to private school, which she had never done, and explained to me when I was protesting going that it wasn't just about the good education, it was about the caliber of the people I would be surrounded with. And she was right, absolutely right. Whether I was going to a friend's house or hanging out with students, Hill Murray didn't have popular kids. Everyone got along with everybody, but the kids that I most admired, that everyone admired, were the ones that were ambitious, that were in the AP classes, that were working hard. Every time I went to a friend's house, I was meeting an executive or a doctor or an attorney. And she said, watch how they carry themselves, watch how they interact with the others, watch their work ethic. And that caliber of people helped shape me into who I wanted to become. And most importantly, I want to thank my dad. My dad, in high school, I lived with him, and he was a single father, and he worked 2 to 3 jobs to make sure his daughter could stay at Hill Murray. And if it weren't for my dad, I couldn't have gotten this award, I couldn't have graduated, and I wouldn't be who I am today. So, thank you, Dad. I truly appreciate it. Um, I'm so honored that you gave a shout out to the important work at the Capitol. I got made an appointed, actually, voluntold that I was going to be the lead on education in the Senate. And I thought, I went to private school. I don't know if I'm a good fit for this. And then I realized that Hill Murray gave me a model, a vision for what I want education to look like in the state of Minnesota. And I'm pretty determined to run for re-election, and should I get the education gavel, I want to take the excellence and the drive and the passion that Hill Murray inspires in their students and make that a statewide goal, because I truly believe if we take the Hill Murray model and apply it to our school system here, that Minnesota could be a leader in education in this country. And so thank you, Hill Murray, for giving me the vision for this state and for shaping who I am, and thank you to everyone at these tables for making me the woman I am today. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Julia. Okay. That was beautiful. Our next honoree is actually the third ever recipient of the Ashenmutter Paulson Performing and Fine Arts Award, Robert Fida, Hill Murray class of 73. This dual named award honors the long-serving and beloved Hill Murray principal and band director, Frank A., Mr. A., whose name, arguably more than any others, is synonymous with the school for so many generations of pioneers, Mr. A. Do you guys know he wrote the school song? Yep. And it's a unique tune. It's not like, Michigan Fight Song with high school words. It's a unique tune. The second name on the award is the matchless Mark Paulson. Oh man, theater director from 1977 to 2007. And he's the one who put Hill Murray Performing Arts on the map for its excellence, its outreach to the community, parents, alumni, and students over 3 decades. And I got to tell you, the Christmas Carol, right? That was an Advent tradition, and it's really still a highlight. I think we did a radio show, Christmas Carol radio show, didn't we, Peg, a couple of years ago? Christmas Carol at Hill Murray, Mark Paulson, Mr. A, it just all goes together. And I should say, I think Julie pointed out that Peg is back in the back, Peg Ashenmutter Sutherland, class of 91. And I thought I saw Lynn. There you are. Lynn Paulson is here, Mark's wife. Thank you for being here. And so to honor these two amazing men, we have this award, the Mark Paulson Ashenmutter Performing and Fine Arts Award. Robert Fida, our honoree tonight, is an accomplished multimedia visual artist. His work reflects his careful preparation, attention to detail, and really his talent, just amazing. His pieces resonate with artists, collectors, and public alike. His masterfully crafting of the 30-foot Marian Shrine in Wyoming is a beacon for all who pass by in their travels. If you get there, say a prayer for Hill Murray and our students. It's a beautiful shrine, 30-foot Marian Shrine. Likewise, Robert aids fellow artists in understanding the business side of art and how artists can make a wider impact. So please join me in welcoming our honoree to the stage, Robert Fida, Hill Murray, class of 73.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Last time I was here, I had hair. I do enjoy seeing your faces. It's really awesome to be here, and I'm humbled by this award. When I got it, and I didn't get the newsletter from the school. So Judy had to call me up and tell me, Bob, this is going on. And she sent me a copy of it, and I was just totally thrilled. But at the same time, when I see these folks up here and awesome work they do, I don't know where I put myself up here. I'm just honored to be here. I am 70 years old. I was married for 34 years to my sweetheart Martha, who had passed away from breast cancer. And I am a almost lifetime member of the Knights of Columbus, which I'm really proud of. Did a lot of work with churches in Wyoming and Laramie and up in the mountains and up near Sheridan. I lived in Wyoming most of my life. I spent about probably 40-some years in Wyoming, and I loved every minute of it. I was in Colorado and Montana. I would go there a lot to take photos for paintings, and use those paintings as guides when I came back to the studio, and I would work on them. I'm also the author of 2 books on art marketing, and I also took 30 years of my notes and put them together into a book, which is basically 30 years of notes for oil painting. I'm a self-taught sculptor and painter. My website is fitagallery.com. If you haven't seen a lot of the Our Lady of Peace, it's on there. I recall Hill Murray art class, and I had done, as a matter of fact, out in the hall here, you can see those paintings that they did. And you would get an assignment, paint something. So what I painted was a life-size painting of O.J. Simpson, which at the time was really cool. But not anymore. This is the first time I've ever admitted that to anybody. I also filmed 5 how-to videos on mold making and casting, and that was for artists and manufacturers. I spent a while on the road consulting with different companies how to reproduce their inventory by making the rubber molds, silicone molds, so on and so forth, and how to cast in different materials. I've cast in everything from bronze to different types of plastic to stone to concrete, the whole gamut. This is kind of unique. I went to Mazatlan right when those videos came out, and I've been to Mazatlan a couple times. And I was in Mazatlan, and I would go into this internet cafe to see how many sales I had that day, because I was kind of excited. This just broke nationally. And I was getting some sales. That thing went international. And I would go into this internet cafe, and I'd sit down there, and I'd check my information that I needed, and then I didn't want anyone to know I've been there, so I erased the history. Then the next day I went in there, did the same thing. Checked on my sales, erased the history. Did that for 2 more days. And on the 5th day when I went in there, they told me, no, you go. They knew that I was the one that erased the history. And that obviously tells you that they were not using that history they were looking at where people were going to. So I was glad I erased the history on there. Yeah. I got to know Bishop Ricken very well. I don't know if you know Bishop Ricken. He is now the Bishop of Wisconsin. And he was the Bishop of Wyoming, and we became really good friends. And I remember one time I was at the cathedral receiving communion, and Bishop Ricken, real fast, he said, "See me after Mass," while he was feeding me the communion. And I was shocked. Of course, I'm going to see him after Mass. And what he did was he took me to the large crucifix that they had behind the altar, and he goes, "Look at that." He goes, "Look at the cracks in that. That came from Italy, and now the fingers broke up. But look at that." Then he gave me a big grin. He goes, "I know you can fix this, right?" And I was like, okay, I can't turn down, and as a knight, you do not charge the church. So I fixed that one, and the Knights of Columbus came by and took it back to the church and hung it up again. Well, then they came back with a bunch of statuary pieces that needed repair, and I thought, all right, I don't want this to get out of hand, but I'll do it. So I repaired all the statuary pieces. And then I started getting the Knights of Columbus from Laramie coming up with their statuary pieces. Well, the bishop was down there telling everyone to go ahead and send them up to my studio, which was fine. And that lasted for about 3 months. But like I say, you don't charge them. Another thing I did a lot of is going out into the field to take photographs, because I wanted to experience my paintings. I didn't want to just do the painting and not be able to say, hey, this is what it's like to race wild horses. And I chased a lot of grizzly bears up in the Bridger Tetons. What we did was, I was up there taking photos. I got a buddy of mine that has a ranch up there. And we would move the herd to keep it going, because as it grazes, it'll just eat up a field. So we would move the herd, and we would then glass, which is basically using binoculars. We would glass the field to see if there was any wolves or grizzly bears around. You can't really see them. Once in a while you'll get lucky, and you'll see the head of a grizzly bear pop up, and then it goes back down into the brush, and then it pops up over here. It was like grizzly whack-a-mole. It just kept on popping up. Well, we couldn't chase it. It was too far. But what we did was we let the herd tell us they were near, because the cattle would start to get a little bit anxious. They would start making noise, and they would slowly start moving in one direction away from where the grizzly was. Well, we did see a grizzly on that last trip, and what we did was we took pots and pans, and we made a stringer of pots and pans. And when we saw the grizzly, we were able to grab that stringer, throw it over the horn of your saddle, and ride towards the grizzly. And it made all kinds of noise. And that was able to chase it. The grizzly actually would hear you coming way before you got close to it. So it's not as if I was riding on the tail of a grizzly bear. It was the noise that scared it away. And I did that probably 2 or 3 times again, and it was wonderful times. Got some phenomenal photos up in the mountains, just beautiful. There's wildflowers up there, and ponds that you could see right down to the bottom. You see all the fish in it. It's beautiful up there. I did a 22-foot tall sculpture of a northern Arapaho traditional dancer, and the chief at that time was Harvey Spoonhunter, and we became really good friends. And they decided to go ahead and make me an honorary Northern Arapaho. So I was blessed by the Indians, and they did a dance, and then they had the eagle feather, and the eagle feather was held up here, and then they had this smoke coming out of a bunch of sticks, and they would bless you with it. Well, when they bless you, the ground that you're blessed on automatically becomes sacred too. Then they would take the eagle feather, and they would hang it as high as they can in the tree to show that this was sacred ground to other tribes and other Indians. And that was wonderful. Then I participated in a sweat lodge. They wanted me to do this, so and a sweat lodge is about circumference of about 5 feet, and we had 5 guys in there, and it was made out of sticks and hide. And you couldn't put your head all the way up. You kind of had to hold your head down a little bit. And then they would start smoking something in there, and they would pass this smoke around to everyone. So you're sitting there in all this heat, because they would throw the water onto the stones, and it was so hot in there. And then you had the smoke on top of it. It was quite an ordeal, but I really enjoyed it. Then Harvey had asked me to come up to the reservation and speak with the children. I said, you bet I would. So I got there, and he said, well, let's go over to the school. We had breakfast and head over to the school, and he played a little trick on me. He had the kids, there were about 40, 45 of them, in the gymnasium, all sitting on the bleachers in full Indian regalia. It was the cutest thing. It also was very stunning to see all those different colors, and they did dances for me that represented different Northern Arapaho ceremonies. It was really, really nice to do. Then I wanted to do the wild horse race painting, and I figured, well, if I'm going to do a wild horse race painting, I've got to participate in the rodeo. So I started doing a rodeo, and I would do wild horse racing, and what that amounted to is you had 10 guys in the arena, and we would be on a track around the arena, then the arena would be in the center. And what we would do is hold our horses, you had a rope, and a cannon would go off. And this cannon spooked the daylights out of those horses, so they really started getting Western. And your job was to throw the saddle on there, cinch it up, and ride the horse one time around the track, and whoever finished first got the belt buckle. Like a fool, I was going for a belt buckle. 4 surgeries later, I had, in the very last rodeo I was in, I've got the video, and it shows the horse threw me. It reared back with its legs, and it kicked forward while I was still bent in the air, and it messed up my back. So that was the end of that. I also sailed around the southern tip of the United States using Key West as my base. Key West is wonderful. I love Key West. And I would paint the shoreline, and at night I'd be in the boat, and it would be real quiet. It was about a 30-foot sailboat, and I had a light over my shoulder. It was pitch black out. You could see the stars. You can softly hear the waves pounding up against the side of the boat. And you look off in the distance, you see these tiny little lights, and they were other sailboats that were out there. Well, I spent quite a bit of time sailing around and just doing sketches. Then I would go back to the studio and finish them. Some of those are on my Instagram page, the Key West paintings. Okay, then came the big one, the Our Lady of Peace sculpture. The Our Lady of Peace organization realized they did not have a large Marian memorial in the state of Wyoming. So they came to my studio and said, would you do this? And I looked it over, what they wanted me to do, and they really didn't have much information. They were going to give me the freedom to pretty much do what I wanted. So I did it, and it's actually over 30 foot tall, but the weighs 180 tons, and she's in the stereotypical with the arms out. And it was funny because I would go to dinner with Bishop Ricken, and one night I told him, he was talking about the sculpture, that he really liked the sculpture, and I said, I'm going to tell you a secret. And he's like, what's that? I said, she doesn't have any eyes. And he goes, what do you mean? She has eyes. I said, I know you saw eyes, but you didn't have any eyes. What I did was, with the angle of the sculpture with the sun, I just made a couple quick lines, and it looks like she has eyes. But I did not want to see in it what I saw it. What about what other people see in their stereotypical view of the Blessed Mother? So by leaving the eyes out, everyone thought for sure it had eyes. And I couldn't tell anybody that. But I would not lie to a bishop. I told him, what would I, I'm telling you the truth. So he went ahead and had me do a few more sculptures for the church. I want to take a moment to thank James Hansen, who was my nominator. Where's James? Oh, he did? Oh, that's too bad. He nominated me, and James Hansen collects a lot of art. And he's a wonderful guy for doing this. And like I say, I'm very humbled, especially to be in the presence of the people that are up here tonight. It's like, what am I doing here? But wonderful, wonderful award, and I really appreciate it. So I thank you all.
Thank you, Roberts. So if we could just have one more round of applause for all of our honorees. So proud. Also, I want to thank again Tim O'Brien and the Green Mill team. Judy, where are you? Did she run off? So is the bar still open? He just gave a thumbs up. The bar's still open. There's coffee. There's desserts. Everyone, thank you so much. God bless. Gets home safely. We will see you where? Party on the Plaza, Thursday, June 12th. Thank you so much for being here tonight.